Hello everyone, Radis for DLC here, and all three banners for the part 2 or the second half of the worldwide anniversary are live. So I wanted to talk about whether you or you shouldn't be summoning on these banners. I will say this video is a bit more targeted towards those who joined the game during the New Year's anniversary, like me, but hopefully you can take away my thoughts of why you should or shouldn't summon on these banners. I will say, one, I don't think this is a simple black or white, you should or shouldn't summon. It's going to be very dependent on your account. And two, I will definitely say there is a bit more reasons why you should potentially summon, or at least do a couple of multis. So as we know, this is considered the treasure map banner for this month. So the upcoming treasure map, which is going to be against Shiryu, these characters are going to be boosted. So if you're trying to rank very high on the treasure map, you have to get these characters, unfortunately. You kind of do. They're going to give you the most points multiplier for your score. Now, if you're actually looking at the treasure map itself and you look at the actual components of the boss and intrusion fight, they're pretty easy. You do not need these characters to complete it. You can, especially if you have the New Year's bash, all of them. So you have Luffy, Bonnie, you have Kuma, and you have the Strength Saint Saturn. You are A-okay. You do not need them at all. At the very worst, you might want like to have them as a friend captain for both just dealing with some of the gimmicks and also for the extra points. Other than that, you don't have to get these characters for the treasure map. Now, normally for every month, we get a treasure map banner, we usually get a normal banner, usually at the end of the month. We get a treasure map banner, we get a Kazuna Clash banner. Not all the time we do. So those are like and then we have a Pyro banner. So this month, though, it seems like we may not get a Kazuna Clash banner, which means that the upcoming Kazuna Clash may be designed for the new Versus Zoro Nushiro, as well as the Garp Kobe Blackbird Kuzan. If that's the case, these characters would be given more value. So if you go to the Super Pirate Rumble, so this season, I believe during the championship, which should be taking place during the April 9th and 12th, during this time, a trusty character campaign will be activated. To those who do not know, during a trusty character when they're active, basically if you own the character, you will get extra points whenever you win a match, Pyro Rumble. So right now, if you go all the way down to trusty characters, the Quick Smoker, which you can get by just playing the Pyro Rumble, would give you additional 1 point per character. And then obviously he's going to be getting a 6+ during the Kazuna Clash, so I'm assuming it's going to be added to this. Now, if you go down here, they specifically state new characters from the upcoming Suga Fest that will be held before the championship will also be a trusted character. Oh wow, it's so windy. Sorry. Like, wow, my door actually opened. Wow. But so during this time, these banners will be active before April 9th. So if you look at it, new Pirate Rumble character, new Sugo rare character and rare character from the end of month batch, and then a new Pirate King Adventures or PKA character will be boosted. Now, one thing you probably noticed, there is no mention of a Kazuna Clash. And it makes sense considering Kazuna Clash, if we go, I believe the World Cruiser will have the schedule. Kazuna Clash is going to be a March 24th to March 29th, pretty much at the end of the month. So it doesn't make sense for them to release a Kazuna Clash banner and an end of month batch, because it would be literally released within like 2 to 3 days time, like a window between each other. It would be terrible. So it looks like these characters will be boosted, or at least the content of the Kazuna Clash were going to be designed for these characters, which makes sense. So if that's the case, these characters will get more value because of that. Now, again, we have to wait and see. I could be wrong. They could just be very stupid and release a Kazuna Clash banner and an end of month batch banner as well. That could happen. Hopefully it doesn't. So right now there are 3 banners. So for part 1 has the best steps, but there are 5 additional characters on it. On the part 1 banners, it's just like the first half of the anniversary. If you look at it, the big one is the 10th multi. You have every poster has a 50% chance of being a red. So this is a really good step. You have a lot of super limited pool. You go to the 20th pool, we get a limited pool Suga Fest. the works. Unfortunately, if you go to Pity, if you go to the 30th pool, you're not guaranteed a character. You're just guaranteed a Anniversary Sugafest character. And then part 2 and part 3, it's just like any normal banner. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of guaranteed Sugafest steps on this banner. But if you get to the 30th pool, you're guaranteed to get Zoro, Yushiro, and you get a wanted poster of that type, depending on if you're on part 1 and part 2, part 3. So if you look at the actual banners, this is a treasure map banner. Do want to remind that. So there's going to be anniversary characters and a treasure map, Sugafest on here. I will say for the most part, we're going to get to it, but most of the treasure map characters on here aren't really, I would say, highlights that you should be hunting to get. But, they're nice inclusions. So part 1, the anniversary characters that are on here, we do have the Hancock from the One Piece magazine. She's really good. We do have the Rev Army characters, which were whatever. Zoro, Kaku, Katakuri, and Big Mom were on part 1 as well, or the first half, as well as Roger Bring the Kaban. So I think they're pretty decent, but you could have potentially already pulled these characters already. And honestly, that's actually the same for Hancock. I believe she was in the first half of the anniversary. And then you have King and Kaido, which were not on the first half, I believe. And then you look at the treasure map characters, you have Ace, Stussy, Kobe, Lucci, Kaku. My bad. And then you have Memories Usopp. The funny thing is about the Memories Usopp, if you even look at the, if you look at all the Memories characters, you could get them for story mode. So I would not focus on summoning for them unless you just want to get dupes. And then you look at the Sugafest, nothing really particularly amazing. Really not a lot. We go to the part 2, and I guess these are the limited pool and then the super limited pool. And then if you go to the 30th step of the part 1, you're guaranteed one of these characters. I'm telling you, if you get the Rev Army characters, I can understand if you feel like disappointed, because that's just, I'm not saying they're bad, but like 30th pool, you're not at least getting Hancock. Like honestly, it should be one of these two. Like if you get one of these two, I would think that's okay. But part 2, a lot of these characters were also in the first half as well. Zoro, Lucci, Luffy and Lucci, Dex, Roger, Film Bread, Luffy. We do have Strength S Snake. I will say this anniversary lineup is a bit better than the first half. This is probably, I would say, arguably the best part to summon on, especially if you are really just trying to get Zoro, Lucci, because technically you do have a better chance of pulling them because there's 5 less legends. The treasure map characters, unfortunately, Tashigi and Buggy have been on a lot of recent treasure maps banners. So if you have been summoning a lot of those banners, you actually probably got these characters already. Remember, Frankie, you get already. Quick Luffy, I don't think he's been on a lot of banners, or at least featured. And then Nami Carrot is a pretty good character. Look at the Sugafest. I will say the Sugafest on part 2 is also the best. This Brook is really good. He's one of the few characters that actually, I believe, get rid of silence. Yeah, and he's somewhat immune to it too. He reduces his, maybe not. He reduces Cruz. Yeah, okay. Thought he did. But he's one of the few characters that actually get rid of silence in the game, so that's really strong. You have Dex Vegapunk, who's pretty decent. You do have Usopp Lilith, who are just a good character, like one of the best characters in the game. Good for PvE content, and they're amazing in Rumble. Garp is pretty good in Rumble, but unfortunately, I think with Kobe, you're probably not going to see a lot of him anymore. And then the rest of the characters are pretty forgettable. Memory Zoro you can get from the story mode. And then part 3, I definitely say part 3 is easily the weakest of the parts, but there are some really sleeper hits on here. So we do have Yamato Momo, which is kind of a forgettable character. You do have 3 sword style Nami, as well as the cross skill. These 2 characters are really good, especially in Rumble. So if you could get these characters, it would be amazing. But the rest of the anniversary characters outside of the new Zoro, Nustro are forgettable. Treasure map characters, unfortunately, Sabo has been on a lot of banners recently. And Atlas is a pretty decent pickup. Same with Green Bull. Now, Nami and Harina, this character being on this banner is probably the only reason why most people are going to be summoning on it. This character is amazing. But I do want to specify, and this kind of applies to all of this stuff, is these characters, the new characters, include like the new, like the whole worldwide anniversary, all these characters will be returning during May. That's when we're going to be getting the game-wide anniversary. So if you don't want to summon, or you're kind of like conflicted and you just want to save, that's totally viable, because in May, I believe is May 11th or 12th, we should be getting the worldwide anniversary, or not the worldwide, we should be getting the game-wide anniversary, and these characters will be returning. So if you're gonna summon, I would say summon on part 1 or 2. I think 3 is just not as good. 1 mainly for the steps, and then 2 if you if you're missing all those characters in part 2, I would summon in part 2. Like again, looking at part 2, we go to the regular characters. You have S-Snake, who's pretty decent. You have Tishi. Why is it showing? Oh, so it won't show all the anniversary characters on it. I gotta go all the way to the banner. Okay. But part 2, you have Lucci versus Zoro. You have Lucci and Luffy. Part 2, I think, has the better lineup of all the parts. Part 1 just has really good steps. Dex Roger. And I mean, unfortunately, a lot of these characters are on part 1, but if you summon on part 1, you're done with part 1. Either hopefully you got the characters, hopefully you didn't get shafted, but you're done with part 1 and you did not pull these characters. Part 2, the first half of the anniversary. If you summon, you finish your multis or your summons during the first half of the celebration, you're on the second half now, and you did not pull these characters, I recommend part 2 out of all the steps. I do think the part 1, the steps wise, are the best, but the lineup here is nothing amazing. It really is Hancock or Zoro and Ushijuro. There really are the big 2 highlights. But yeah, tell me what you guys think. Are you guys planning on summoning? If you already have summoned, tell me how your multis went. Are you excited for the characters? Or I will also, I think I did forget to mention this. This is probably one of the bigger reasons why a lot of people are going to be summoning their Pirate Rumble capabilities. Zoro and Pirate Rumble, especially have Luffy, Bonnie, Kuma. I definitely do suggest you guys to consider summoning for him. I'm not saying you should, but he works perfectly on that team, especially if you have other Straw Hats. But it's going to be it for me, guys. Tell me how your summons go if you are planning to summon. But that's going to be it for me, guys. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.